Welcome back to the Best Ball Happy Hour here at 4-4 Football. As always, I'm your host, John Daigle. Joined today, friend in life, Chris G. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, my brother? Just back, happy to be home in Dallas, man. El Paso was hot, and I just came back home, and it's a little bit hotter, which is surprising.
Hayden will be joining us today as well. He'll be jumping in a tad late, but it's a fun day, not only because you have breaking news, as you maxed out BBM today. So congratulations. But also this past week of drafting, maybe not even week, maybe last 3 days through the weekend has been a lot of fun because everyone's overreacting. For someone who cited, as I jump into it right now, that's what we're going to do today is talk about all the ADP movement. My rankings have been adjusted. I'll be using those today. So I'll be jumping in for everyone listening in 3, 2, 1. For someone who was adamant that the best value would come before August, and thus I wanted to have over half my BBMs done before then. Yes, I think now this week span, and probably for the next couple of weeks, as civilization and generations just get dumber and dumber, it seems like everyone is just overreacting to everything, which makes it amazing. The fact you could even sometimes get Joe Burrow 12 to 20 spots past ADP, even though there's 7 weeks left until the regular season, is absolutely wild. So now is the time to be drafting. But your thoughts on your maxed 150 entries and some of the players that you ended up over rostering?
So I have a couple slows left, but yeah, I can't enter anymore. I'm really excited. Like when that Jonathan Taylor news broke and the Cooper Kupp news broke, I was just picking up all the value I could. And, being a little bored in El Paso by myself, I started entering more drafts. And my highest exposure actually is probably the Seattle Seahawks offense, along with pieces of Nico Collins, Jaden Reed. I would also say Devonta Smith is a big ownership for me because I like grabbing him in the second or third with Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been pretty good. I'm most exposed, I believe, to the Seattle, Cincinnati. Like, I got really lucky in mine that I got a lot of 101s and 102s, just like you do have today.
This is a 101. And we could be doing this together, especially. Are you in this one already? But you could not enter anymore, right?
No, I'm not in this one. I can't enter anymore.
No worries. We can do this one together. I should probably flatten my exposure, but still with the 101, it is still the primary Justin Jefferson spot, so we're going to keep doing that. Tom from Fantasy Island YouTube channel got Burrow at 68 earlier.
That's great to see.
It's something that's happening. It's something I've seen happen in some of my own drafts as well. ADP 46, but now he's fallen to 64, 68, which is absolutely wild. The other one, I don't know if you came across this unicorn, but the other one, what's happening now is Jonathan Taylor at the second, third round turn, which is significantly more palatable. I was underweight on Taylor and had him in the same tier as the Ramondres, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, that set of running backs that goes in the first half of the second round. But I didn't have him ranked over those players because I questioned his pass catching equity from a rookie and rushing quarterback. So it was just a normal player. But now the fact that we can couple him with perhaps Burrow doubles, perhaps with Justin Jefferson and other elite players, now it's a significantly better spot to have him. So now is when I'm getting my JT exposure.
No, that's a very fair assessment. I'm actually underweight on a lot of the running backs because everybody's been talking about like scooping up the value. But lately, I've been taking a lot of Tony Pollard, and if I see JT in the third, he was an auto click for me. So just to get that exposure up on him, I'm underweight a little bit on CeeDee Lamb, but that's not going to change just where he goes. I like a couple of the guys better. I will say this. I have a Justin Jefferson, JT, and like T. Higgins or like Tony Pollard team, I think it is. And I'm just like, that's going to be pretty if he plays out the full season. So,
oh yeah, that's a good one. And then with the JT also here, yes, what's possible for CeeDee Lamb, as you mentioned at the top, being underweight CeeDee Lamb, the only thing I've been trying to do at the end here is I've been trying to get away from, I wonder if Steelers is about to do it, But it's
The
just
Lamb
so
and ARSB. Yeah.
it's just so damn easy and obvious. But I also feel like if Hayden could give us the information, which he can't, he doesn't even have this. CD and Amon-Ra would be like the number one start at 12. I feel like that's what everyone does. So I've been trying to purposely push myself away from it recently.
I completely agree with you. I think the other most heavily owned one in the draft, not just at the 12 spot, is Kelsey Mahomes. That's like everyone has that. I actually had 0 checking my exposures in my last like 50, and I was like, oh, I ended up taking like 2 or 3. But I actually took your advice when you said in an earlier show here. I actually been taking Amon-Ra, Tony Pollard to get really unique because he's still going at the end of the second, and that's a way to get unique on the field. A guy that you believe is a first round talent or should be going at the turn is there, and that's to get a little unique if the game plays out different.
And the other options, if you're still trying to stack that game, just fall into place with accessible ADP between Brandon Cooks, if you want to wait, Michael Gallup, if you want to wait, Jake Ferguson now. The path has been carved since Luke Schoonmaker is injured and not practicing. So, it's become much more accessible to have Dak stacks without CeeDee Lamb since those kind of areas have fallen into places.
I think Schoonmaker, I think I read a tweet, I'm not entirely sure, but I thought I saw that he's like gearing up to start practicing. But Ferguson's definitely had that time, to like distance himself and work with Dak. That's what I heard today.
It's also, it's also a day 3 rookie tight end or day 2 rookie tight end. So I genuinely
100%.
don't even worry about Schoonmaker like being any of an impact in front of Jake Ferguson. If anything, they just may use their tight ends less. But
I really like what Tim
Ferguson's
did.
still a last round pick.
I really like what Tim here did. He's got Diggs and Devontae, so he can take whichever one falls to him if he's so inclined, which is kind of nice.
Okay. Tim Roberts. Yeah, actually, that is quite sharp. All right, here we are at the turn. We do have a JT fall to 21.
Okay, I was going to say Henry, JT, but I'm okay with Taylor and Ramondre as well.
JT Ramondre, we don't have to do these wide receivers that we're looking at the top here.
We can get someone like Terry McLaurin later or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I think it is JT and Ramondre.
Yeah, unless you have a palate for like taking Jalen, that's the only consideration for me.
Not really. I don't mind.
Okay.
Again, we may get a. Let's see, what pick are we here?
T. Higgins went already, right?
Yeah, T. Higgins went.
Okay.
Let me make sure that T. Higgins went. But we can still get a Burrow and Mixon.
Oh, 100%. I was just thinking about the Week 15 matchup for Minnesota and Buffalo. I mean, Minnesota and Cincinnati. Sorry.
So, okay. In that case, then, which other players did you end up drafting the most out of your 150 entries?
You know what? Let me just pull up the exposure, right?
And I'm actually going to pull up my exposure really quick, too, just to check in. I check in still every week just to make sure I'm not going too crazy on guys that keep falling into place.
Out of my 150, my highest exposed player currently is Elijah Mitchell at 22%.
22%. Okay. Here we have Hayden with the new lights. When did you get that in?
What's up? I have new wallpaper up. By the way, putting up wallpaper is so hard. It's ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous. Almost got me in a divorce. But got the light, got the wallpaper, got the background set up. We're back and cooking.
Are you in the same area? I did see you moved apartments.
Yeah, moved apartments. But yeah, still in Orange County by John Wayne Airport.
And then are y'all homeowners now or still renting?
We need these underdog options to hit before we think about that.
I forget you're still in Orange County. Yeah. So it may be a little bit, even with the underdog and doctorate money coming in, it still may be a little bit. Yeah.
One day.
Okay.
I'm getting cold calls right now from random people. Hey, are you selling your house? Like random investment groups are like, no, stop, please.
Yep.
All right. So Hayden, we started at the 101. We were talking about some ADP.
What a team.
Some ADP dips and whatnot. And yes, JJ, and then of course Ramondre, and the great JT rumor I had heard about him falling to the third round is right here. Your thoughts on Jonathan Taylor. Let's start there because we'll run into some ADP dips more along the way.
Yeah, with all the new CBA just makes it really hard for players to hold out, like bottom line. Like it just doesn't really happen anymore. So I think like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, it's just hard because they're going to lose so much money. It's like they would be shooting themselves in the foot if it actually happens. With Jonathan Taylor, to me, the only thing that's kind of scaring me is like potentially that this injury is actually somewhat serious, whether it's his back or ankle. And then also it's an uphill battle for him because he's in an offense that is not inducive for running back fantasy points. But I do actually think Jonathan Taylor, there's a chance he does get traded. We've seen some reports from like Rap Sheet that other teams have some interest. I do think a team like the Bears, for example, have all this cap space that they could make a big swing for Jonathan Taylor. And the secret part about this whole holdout situation is if he's traded, that's going to be a good thing for Jonathan Taylor because he's going to get away from Anthony Richardson. So I think there's some secret upside to this, and I just don't believe in the holdouts really.
That's where he fell into place for me, as I was explaining to Chris earlier, is that I was actually underweight on him this entire time because I didn't believe in his target share or passing equity from a rookie and mobile quarterback. Like Rich Rebar even has just a blind rule. And I understand, like, especially with exposure, that it falls into your lap sometimes, but just a blind rule that we should just avoid the players with rookie quarterbacks. Sometimes it's that simple, given the historical anomalies of fantasy and how they've underperformed in ADP. But now I can get Jonathan Taylor in this range of wide receivers that I didn't want to draft anyways. I was just doing so because there was no one on the board. Like the next tier of guys that went: Calvin, DK, Amari, Debo. I can take JT instead, and that's more fun. So I think it's that easy, honestly.
Yep.
Also with the NFI list, he has 0 leverage now. And maybe the injury is serious. Maybe Jim Irsay drunkenly did it erroneously, and that wouldn't be shocking either. But either way, they put the ball back in JT's court and said, you have 0 leverage now. So you have to report or you're stuck with this hell franchise for another year.
Yeah, man, it's just the business of the CBA right now. The Players Association got to do a better job with this franchise tag. My cat has jumped in here and wants to be part of the show now, so I'm going to get rid of her.
Get him in here. And then some other news you missed out on is that can you hear us from there? No, that's okay. All right. Well, then, Chris, I will tell you right now. I just looked. Well, the other news is about you.
Oh, okay.
The other news you missed out on, Hayden, is that Chris maxed the BBM today. Today was the day.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah.
This is a good time to draft right now. If I was doing some drafts right now, this would be the time to be firing your last ball.
I've upped the ante quite a bit. And yes, Josh, Undercat is running around in the back room right now. To answer your question, Chris, I'm looking at my exposure right now, and Tyler Lockett's my only player owned in over 30%. Yeah, owned in over 30% right now. But the other 4, let's go 5 players behind him. My top owned guys are Kendry Miller, 29%, Geno Smith, 29%, Keenan Allen, 27%, Jalen Warren, 27%, and Hunter Henry, 26%. So I think that's a fair group of players considering those are the guys I've talked about throughout the show, throughout the year.
Yeah, my top 5 are Elijah Mitchell, which I previously said, Aiden, and then Jalen Warren, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Darius Slayton, Devonta Smith, and Nico Collins. That's 6. But yeah, those are
Damn it! Guys. We came 1 pick away from getting the sweet Christian Watson 7 spots past ADP. All right, so this is where we are now. I'm just going to start starting a couple players, which I'm all comfortable with, honestly. What are your thoughts?
I like Big Mike and Ken Walker. That's my.
Yeah, I like Big Mike. I would do Justin Fields too. I don't think I would do Burrow just because stacks, but I like Big Mike for sure.
Okay, so Big Mike, and then do we want to reach a couple spots on Herbert, or do we just take the dip, or not even a dip, but do we take Justin Fields?
Man,
I'm up to you guys. I mean, I usually like to stack it up, but Justin Fields is a game breaker, so I'm up to whatever you guys want.
I have him in the same tier as Herbert, so.
Let's take Herbert, right?
I said I have Herbert in the same tier as Fields, so.
Yeah, I think Herbert.
Doesn't matter to me. If we're going ahead and stacking them up, we can figure this out.
I think if Fields and Mike Williams ADP were both in the 4th round, like every single time, I think that would be unique enough to like do that, but I think there are enough teams that have Mike Williams and Fields, because Fields now is in the 49 pick. That'll take the correlation.
And then, speaking of some other ADP dips, who do we have recently? Calvin Ridley being driven off of a 5-second clip where the camera panned with him, so he looked faster. That's a really odd one. I don't quite get that one.
I'll buy you back on this one just because we didn't know what he would look like after 2 years. The fact that he's out there this early and actually running around, I will say it gives you at least a little bit of confidence. But I will agree, it's getting.
Yeah, and then he already has a minor toe thing already, which is great to see.
He fixed his cleats. He fixed his cleats.
Where do you have him ranked, Hayden? By the way, because I've gotten into Connor Allen, Ron Noon, and I are doing a draft, and we're keeping an oral diary of it. And I've already gotten into arguments with them because I just have Calvin Ridley plopped in the Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf tier. It's like, yeah, all these guys are the same. Why do I care? But I do know some very sharp people who have Calvin Ridley ranked over those guys, even like the next tier with the Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. So what are your thoughts?
I have him ranked ahead of a lot of those guys. I just think that he has wide receiver 1 capabilities based off his talent and the team environment in ways that like Chris Olave, I don't think can get there because of the team environment, for example. Same with arguably like DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel because of target competition and offense and quarterback play. I don't know, man. Calvin really could be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this year. Like that would not surprise me in any capacity. And I think that his floor is pretty solid too, just because of how aggressive Peterson is and how aggressive Trevor Lawrence is. So I want him in the 3rd round.
Where did you come up with in Calvin Ridley's exposure in your BBMs, Chris?
I have a little bit above the field. I'm at like 9%. I was really taking him a lot early at the 3-4 turn. So I wanted to target a couple more wide receivers. I kind of favored Deebo Samuel, that efficient offense in San Francisco. And I actually have a little bit of DK Metcalf as well. I know a lot of people are off on him, but it's going to be like a ping pong, I feel like, in Seattle, like where one wide receiver is just going to go off and I just trying to grab as many combinations of the Seahawks guys together. Like I have a couple of DK Metcalf JSNs, DK Metcalf Tyler Lockett JSNs, which is the most common one right now. So I'm shooting to try to get unique against everybody else in those playoff weeks. So getting DK feels like it'll be unique against other people with JSN and Tyler.
DKB asked an interesting question, Hayden, because the only thing is, it's like with Tony Pollard's ADP. Like, in my opinion, Tony Pollard's ADP is wrong. And I do have him personally ranked over Saquon Barkley. But, like, there are just so finite blockers in Pollard's way that maybe he doesn't actually make it to the 1st, 2nd round turn where I believe he should be. And that's the same thing for Joe Mixon. Like, Joe Mixon should be ahead of Najee Harris, in my opinion. Should be every time. But they're just still so finite blockers that it's very hard for Mixon to move an ADP. So while I think he's the better pick, we're only talking about 4 or 5 spots changing. So Mixon will, in my opinion, probably just stay a permanent value.
Yeah, I'm going to be drafting so much Joe Mixon. I think that he has such a high ceiling. Tony Pollard, the reason why he's not going higher is because of the wide receiver addiction. It's all the wide receivers in front of him, in my opinion, that they said he can't bounce.
I think there's a little bit a ghost of Zeke hanging out in everyone's heart, too. I think everyone's just a little bit scared of Zeke.
I do think that Mixon can jump Etienne and Gibbs and Najee. I think those three backs... like, there's really nothing concrete about any of them. And I think that's if we can get Burrow some positive reports on his cap, which seems to be totally fine long term. I think that Joe Mixon deserves to be above all of them.
Another guy I've been taking a lot that I feel like is a value is Ken Walker. Like in the 6th round, I can get him in the 60s every time. So it just feels good to start like a couple wide receivers and get these values at running back.
Yep.
Starting to star some guys here just to make sure we're all on the same page. And you can give me any thought.
Did Quentin Johnson go? Okay.
No, he's right here. I think he has to be one of our picks, actually.
Do you think you need doubles with Herbert, like reaching on Quentin Johnson, or do you think just a single would be fine enough?
We could take Everett, too. It's not a big deal. I mean, I think I like David Montgomery the best.
I do.
I know Hayden likes David Montgomery, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with Dave Montgomery here.
We need a wide receiver, though, so I'd probably go Mike Evans if we're not going to stack up.
We do need a wide receiver. I think that would be my argument for Quentin Johnson, just to make it that simple. But Mike Evans is a discount, so if we don't think we need doubles, I'm completely fine with it. I genuinely
go back to back Mike, I think. Mike and Mike.
I think I'm underweight Mike Evans anyway, so that's completely fine. I don't mind.
Yep.
Plus, like, whenever you know, one of the best backdoor stacks outside of the Patriots, which are so obvious in 16 through 18, is the Saints. You can get exposure to the Saints in so many different ways, even if it's like Taysom Hill. Juwan Johnson is continuing to fall as well. I'm not so much worried about Foster Moreau's presence there. So, yeah, the Saints are also.
Yeah, what about Jimmy Graham, Dago?
I'm not worried about Jimmy.
I like Rashid Shaheed too. So you're definitely right on that. It's a really good bring back for your New Orleans stacks and get to fall into that.
Genji, as always, comes back to just to remind everyone to never leave without seeing. Every single week he's here reminding everyone.
He knows ball.
To keep
I've been sprinkling in Deneric Prince a little bit, just in my last like 3 or 4, just with my Burrow and Mahomes teams. So I'm thinking CH is not a thing, but you never know with that offense.
All right, Shizuto, I see your question. I'm going to try. It's just a long one. It's really hard to get the long ones live because you have to process it mentally. But I think this is the easiest way to phrase it is, yes, you get Terry McLaurin and A.J. Dillon for trading your 2024 and 2025 first-round rookie picks. And I would say definitely not, because the player better than both of those guys is coming up in the 2024 and 2025 draft. The 2024 first-round picks, I was trading all of my selections this past year for that class. We are about to get Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Drake May. We're about to get all the gods of fantasy football. So you want to stock up and keep stock for 2024.
I agree.
Sometimes it's that easy. That's okay. Any movement, we haven't seen drafts yet change because Cooper Kupp just happened late last night. I'm still drafting Cooper Kupp, number 2, number 3 overall. Doesn't matter to me. Are you going to adjust it all, Hayden?
I had him ahead of Jamar Chase until this, and I'll flip them. And then once Cooper Kupp's back, then I'll put Cooper Kupp back at 2nd overall. But I'm not dropping him past 3rd.
I've seen Kupp go like 8, the lowest. I think I grabbed him at 8. I was really happy with that. Yeah, and then right now, we were talking about this. I'm like, the hamstring is like an easy thing to re-injure. So we're kind of like, we're talking with our FFPC people, just thinking about what we're going to do for the 6th pick. And we're just like, we'll see. Obviously, that's the best part about doing it in Vegas. You get to wait till the day of. But I'm with you. I think if he's healthy week 1, you got to take him over Tyreek Hill at this point.
The good thing, if you can get Cooper Kupp to fall, there's going to be interesting combinations that you're going to be able to get with him. So if he's there at 8th, 9th, 10th overall, if that does happen, I don't care if you think that he's going to miss the whole season. You have to take him just because there's going to be pairings at if you can get him with like a Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's basically impossible to do for where he's been going right now, that I would be very, very stoked to get him that late.
What's your range for Josh Jacobs? Because yes, like around here, I have been taking him every time. Like around the end of the 3rd round, that's where I say no more. Like I have to be the one to stop the dip.
Yeah. If one of these players holds out, I will be wrong. Until that happens, I will draft all of them.
Yeah. And that could be the case, honestly. Running backs still don't have the leverage, but maybe we're all getting a little more scared because at least threatening holdouts is getting more frequent now since everyone's catching on and they're all pissed off. None of them realize they don't have any leverage still, but yeah, all getting pissed off.
That's the thing. You can yell all you want, and then you show up to court, and it's based off of the law. And in this case, it's the CBA, and all your yelling doesn't matter to an arbitrator or judge.
This also is interesting with Alvin Kamara going at the 7th, 8th round turn. We got news today, even though we knew it. Rap Sheet came out and said the suspension is coming down. We just don't know how many games as he tries to talk to Roger Goodell. Did that move the needle for you at all, Hayden?
No, I have him projected for like 4 games missed. If it's 6, I'll drop him further. If it's 2 or 3, I guess I'll move him up. The Saints, they were like almost dead last in running back fantasy usage last year. Now we have 3 guys. I don't know, man. I don't know how you're gonna make this math work. To be honest, I think it's the most overrated offensive line in the league. They just had another injury there.
Mhm.
I just think it's a slow pace, terrible coaching staff, and rotation at running back that scares me kind of with all of them right now. Especially that price. That Kamara price to me is very rich.
Is Elijah Moore gone?
Usually, yes, around this time. Yeah, 86. Oh wow, he's jumped like 10 spots lately. But even, gosh,
It's the same bye too. It's the same bye week. Same bye week.
Oh, is it?
I like Sutton. I think
Yeah,
I was out on him, but now I'm in.
Tim Patrick's gone. Yeah.
I'm fine with Sutton. That'll be one of our picks. We're in the Freiermuth range, so it's a little too early. I'm just starring wide receivers here. Yeah, Elijah Moore's out. And then running backs.
I think I'm good with Sky Moore. I think Sky's good for me.
I would go Sky. Yeah, we already have 3 running backs, so I think it's 2. I would pick Dalvin Cook in the vacuum, but not on this team.
I'll go. I think Sky is just fine. Let's talk about Jameson Williams too, because I was talking about this with Davis on his podcast. And the thing is about Jameson Williams, one, I'm not worried about him. Like, he'll be fine. He's rusty. He tore his ACL last January. He only came back for 37 routes. He'll be fine, even though he's going to play a lot in the preseason and has been dropping the ball in camp. Also, though, if and when Jameson Williams drops because of these training camp reports, like, look at these players that he's going around then. Tyler Boyd, Judas Smith-Schuster, Nico Collins, not even Jonathan Mingo, Alan Lazard, Odell Beckham. Like, none of those guys win the way Jameson Williams does. Thus, you have no choice but to draft Jameson Williams over those dusty-ass players, because if he gets there, again, none of them matter except for Jameson Williams.
I will take you to dinner, Daigle, right now. Juju versus Jameson Williams. I'll give you 25 fantasy points, Juju.
What?
Jameson. 25 points.
Yes, please. Yes.
All right.
Hold on.
Can I get on this too?
I guess I'll do that. I think the better argument, although I'm too lazy to try to extrapolate and figure
Fantasy
out.
points over replacement per game.
Yeah, or more usable weeks. Like, that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
More usable weeks. Or no,
Okay.
more winning weeks for Jameson Williams for the ceiling.
I take whatever the wide receiver, like, it's like usually with the wide receiver 40, and I take the points above that every single week that they score above that. Just sum that points. I'll take you Juju over Jameson, and I'll give you a couple points on top of it too.
I don't want that's not fair. I appreciate it, and to be plus EV, I should take the points. But let's just call it flat, and let's just still say, especially since you're getting the ADP advantage, I'll just go ahead and do a flat bet. We can do fantasy points, Jameson Williams and Judas Smith-Schuster.
Sweet, let's go.
Good. And then finally, do you want fantasy points or fantasy points per game? What's more fair, Chris? Mediate.
I think fantasy points per game with the 6 weeks being missed by JMO, but
that's a part of the thing. We're picking. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
How about usable? Dale, do you want to do usable weeks? Top 36 weeks, but Juju has to beat them by 1. That'll make up the difference of missed time.
Yeah, is 1 fair for a 6-game absence?
We'll do 1.5. I got to beat you by 2. 1.5 usable weeks. Top 36.
Good.
Chris?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
Right.
That's the okay. Now Andrew is yelling at me. All right. I have no idea because I'm hosting and drafting. I have no idea if I just made a good bet or a fair bet. But yes, let's do it. We saw it here. The loser picks up the tab at that Mexican restaurant we went to whenever I came to see you and Katie last.
We'll find even a better restaurant than that one.
Good. Oh yeah, because we have underdog money now. So yeah, we're going to a better restaurant. We're getting those margaritas again. So that's the bet. Over under 1.5 usable. I'm getting plus 1.5 usable weeks of Jameson Williams over Judas Smith-Schuster.
Top 36.
Top 36. Boom. There you go.
Locked in.
Chris, did I just fuck up?
No, you're good, dude. Juju's bad.
They do. I am, though, betting on the Patriots passing offense. I don't know if I'm necessarily betting on Juju, but I'm betting on the Patriots passing offense. It's a lot like how I'm betting on the Steelers, but I'm not betting on George Pickens. So maybe I'm just wrong in that aspect, but I'll adjust next year if that's the case. DKB asks, how are you feeling about the Bills' backfield? Chris, where did you end up on both James Cook and Damian Harris?
I have a little bit more Damian Harris just because he's the cheaper guy, and I usually tend to go for the cheaper guys. I think I'm slightly above the field at 9% with Cook. Let me check. Yeah, 9%. I like him. I like him, but the steam is just when they get steamed, I kind of back off. I'm like, okay, time to look for another guy that I like. That's just kind of.
There were a lot of times too that Damian Harris would fall beyond pick 120, which is why he ended up as one of my highest rostered players. Your thoughts in a half PPR format on Damian Harris, Hayden?
I don't know. They just don't use their running backs too much. I'm a little bit nervous that James Cook is just gonna kind of own me, but
you get nervous about the camp reports.
Yeah,
don't worry about the camp reports.
It's not necessarily that. It's just that they've been so desperate for running backs, so they're trying to change their offense. I can kind of see them trying to jam it through my throat. But I like the other tiers of running backs, except I don't really like this tier.
I feel like I'm going to force y'all to take Dulcich here, who should be moved up an entire tier after the Tim Patrick injury.
I like it.
I'm good with that.
And then beyond that, it really just depends how many more running backs you want. We can wait on quarterback.
Go back to the running back tab real quick.
Sure. I like Zay Jones too here.
Yeah, I think the only guy I would take is Elijah or Jalen, obviously my top two exposures. But what do you think, Aiden?
Elijah or one of the wide receivers. If we did Elijah, like we could even get freaking do just 4 running backs with how much we invested into it if we want to get a little bit unique there.
I'm okay with that. I do like Zay Jones, but I'm okay with Elijah Mitchell. Let's do that. That's fun. All right. And then that gives us at least an out to go 4 running backs if need be. They at least have the same buy, for better or worse. We're depending on 2 of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And at quarterback, I guess we have to start backwards engineering this.
We are drafting Russell Wilson, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that. I was like, Russell Wilson coming
down, you're right.
He falls to the next pick.
Yeah, you are right. I'm seeing what else we have here. Yeah, because we don't have a Buffalo player for Mac Jones either. Okay, that's no big deal. We'll figure it out. There you go. Genji's on your side as well. When Juju plays 16 games. Reports out of camp, of course, are that only 4 players matter in the Patriots offense, and one of them is not surprisingly Tyquan Thornton.
Oh, does he actually matter though? I think it's Ramondre, Devontae Parker, Juju, Hunter Henry. That's all that matters.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is that unsurprisingly Tyquan Thornton doesn't matter.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know if he's the 3rd receiver. That's the funny thing. He may be the 4th receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you see is the camp reports about Hunter Henry being the best ever with Mac Jones, and then nothing else, pretty much.
There's also, I believe, Hunter Henry and Mac Jones are also neighbors now, and like their wives visit one another. I think that's the report going around as well. So
the upside down pineapple.
We have all the hype for an 18th round tight end. All the hype in the world.
Hey, not only that, dude, they got the breakfast narrative going on. It's undefeated. Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Hunter Henry, Mac Jones. Come on down.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be done. I'm done with the late round tight end narrative forever. If Hunter Henry doesn't pan out, if Hunter Henry and Dawson Knox fail, I'm done forever drafting tight ends after round 6. I'm just gonna give up completely.
We got Jay Ferguson, Musgrave. We got these rookies. We got some dudes. Noah Gray in the GPP.
God. Sam Laporta with a 150 ADP is a day 2 rookie tight end.
That's too much.
Fucking
too much.
Wow.
Hey, what's your thoughts about Dalton Kincaid rising up in the news for him? Because I think me and you were on the same side with Liam. Like we prefer Dawson Knox at 180, 190 versus the 135. Kincaid, right? So I'm guessing now he's gone up to 130, I think it is, which is it's hard for me to grab.
A while ago, I feel like last month before camp, it was hot. Like it was like 110, 115 he was at. and he fell a little bit, and then every report is him catching passes as their slot receiver.
I don't have any good takes here, to be honest. I think that I'll push back that the rookie tight ends are dust narrative just because the quarterbacks that they've had have been so bad and Josh Allen's so good. So I think there's a path for him. I just like if I can get these dusty late round tight ends, if I get Tyler Conklin for free and I know he's going to be a tight end too, I feel like I would just take those points. I don't know.
I just don't know if you want Jared Goff and Jordan Love to bear the torch for your dusty quarterback narrative. Like I don't think they're the guys that's going to get us there with Musgrave and Laporta.
Mm-hmm. You wait.
It is the most athletic rookie class at tight end of all time. So that's going to be the difference here is do being like superb athletes. Does Sam Laporta averaging 2.7 yards per route run against man coverage because he's a god? Doesn't matter. We're going to find out quickly.
Yep. You know
what Genji was saying about Tyler Higbee was a TE6 last year. I mean, that's crazy.
Nothing matters.
Exactly. They don't matter. So this late round tight end thing is probably going to stay for.
I was literally just about to say the guy that's going to be annoyingly good is Tyler Higbee, man. They're going to pass the ball so much. The offensive line's actually alive, so he doesn't have to block. And if this Cooper Kupp injury lingers at all, who the hell is Matthew Stafford going to throw the ball? They're going to throw the ball 600 times. It'll be pathetic. But we'll be sorting my tight end targets, and Dave, you can write that blurb for your waiver wire column right now. Tyler Higbee, 8 targets, 45 yards, but finished at the tight end 7.
Higbee's my second most exposed tight end.
There he is right there. Look at that. Just talking about him. Okay. Let's see. Russell Wilson went.
We could do Matthew Stafford, Tyler Higbee.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Chris knows ball.
I actually don't hate it, especially with who's on the board right now. Like this is kind of.
I think Stafford's like one of my most owned QBs too. Yeah, my top 5.
Is Gerald Everett gone? He's a little bit later, right? Yeah. Okay.
Nope. 148.
We won't get him if we don't take him now. So.
Do we do Higbee and who's our first tight end?
Dulcich. Well, we're getting Higbee.
So it's like Stafford or Everett. Oh, man.
Does Stafford come back?
No. Probably not.
He's one of those guys that seemed like he could push it, but
I think you take the quarterback and then you just hope for the best, and then we can probably take one of the third string LAC guys like the rookie from TCU or what's the streaker Guyton, you know?
Those guys. Everett's a player like I just don't mind missing out on anyways, and I feel like it's a hot take.
Benched. I think he can get benched straight up for Donald Parham.
Also,
I did not believe that. I think this year it could happen.
I hate when people like cite that he had a career high in targets and then forget to tell everyone that Mike Williams and Keenan Allen were never on the field. Like, of course he had a career high in targets. It was only Jalen Guyton to get targets behind him.
And it still didn't matter.
Didn't matter. That's the point. Yes.
I had every one of my big money leagues just because of like how bad Kyle Pitts was that year, and it was just like watching paint dry, watching him catch the ball. Yeah. And I was a big proponent of him, but man, he's fallen off a lot. It would not surprise me if Donald Parham goes through.
And we learned so many years ago. I know people still cite it, but we learned so many years ago that like the coordinator then changing teams and throwing to this position, it doesn't matter. He threw that position because that position was talented. And like Dalton Schultz is not explosive, but Dalton Schultz gets first downs and then falls down. Like he's talented enough to earn targets, whereas Gerald Everett is not. So I don't care about stacking Gerald Everett with Justin Herbert at all.
I take him when I do a late tight end build, just because if I have Justin Herbert, I'll take him, and I'll be like, if I take him, I got to take 2 more. That's the way I look at it. Like,
so right now as well, we don't have to have a third quarterback, we don't have to have a 5th running back, and we don't have to have a 3rd tight end.
This is a balanced approach. I know everyone says it was you would get laughed at if you had a balanced team. Why you don't have to have a balanced team? Have your 8th wide receiver before your first running back. But the balanced teams look pretty good. It gives you lots of options down the stretch.
I think right now it looks like we're stacking wide receivers, and then we can pivot if necessary. Maybe a running back stands out. Who is your highest rostered late round running back, Chris, in this range?
Let's see. What range are we looking at? The 168?
And Genji ran the numbers. He was right. 120 targets for four depth of target. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Singletary, Gus Edwards, Roshan, Kenneth Gainwell, Chuba. I have like all above double digits because I typically favor wide receivers earlier, and I usually stack a lot of these late round guys. So
I'm kind of shocked Chuba hasn't increased his ADP like closer to Jerome Ford, because aren't they the same player? Like, aren't they just contingency options?
People are scared of Blackshear. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's been
reports. There's been some reports. You're not grinding the blurbs, Daigle.
I don't want to grind Blackshear blurbs. Like, I'll let y'all do that. I'd rather. It's like the blurbs about Michael Carter being played over Zonovan Knight. Like, Zonovan Knight out-touched Michael Carter in 6 of the 7 games they were active for. I don't care about the blurbs because we have the evidence. That's all I need is evidence.
Yeah, Chubb is like my 4th highest exposed running back. So if he doesn't do good, it will not be a fun year for me. I know Hayden and Josh are in on Miles Sanders, but I think just having some contingent value with Chubb just feels safe and feels pretty good.
Mm-hmm. He goes late. He's free.
Yeah.
I like Cam Akers over Miles Sanders. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time pulling myself from wide receivers in that range. That's the only thing. Which may be on me. My therapist would say, look internally for that. Start drafting Miles Sanders.
My big problem is that you take Miles Sanders and then you can get somebody like James Conner, like at the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you can take an upside guy like James Cook. I know we're not.
Rashad White, James Cook are all there. Yeah.
That's just like confidence in the projection, though. Like, I think we should be very confident in Miles Sanders' projection. Like, players that get that much money don't get their rug pulled in the first year. Like, he's going to be on the team for 3 years based on his contract. They're not going to bench him this year.
They do want to run the ball too.
Yeah,
they are.
It'll be ugly.
Been adamant about that. All right, we're going to start scoping out some wide receivers here.
Oh, yeah. I like this queue right here. This queue is hot to me. I love these 2 wide receivers.
We're in this range, but I think that's pretty good. I'm just going to start starting a couple other players here.
Better in best ball season right here with these receivers. You love to see it.
Hey, what are your thoughts on Isaiah Hodgins versus Darius Slayton?
Hodgins was balling out in the playoffs when things mattered. And Slayton is a downfield threat only. Isaiah Hodgins has a chance to be a possession receiver, and he's got the size, and the contract for him doesn't matter because he was an exclusive rights free agent. He had 0 bargaining power. Of course, he's not going to make any money. I think Isaiah Hodgins has a chance to be good. I think we know who Darius Slayton is at this point. So give me Hodgins. I have him ranked 40 spots ahead of ADP right now.
He also led them in end zone targets and touchdowns.
Big dude.
So where it matters most, that's where he got his targets. Mm-hmm. It's 20 spots ahead of ADP. I like Devontae Parker, but if you prefer Rashid Shaheed, I don't mind.
I like.
We have Mike Evans if we're looking for Hayden's favorite. Rashid Shaheed and Mike Evans mattering.
I think we take Shaheed.
Rashid has. Oh my goodness, I love.
There's a chance he comes back, Hayden. Tyquan Thornton's ADP is still ahead, so there's a chance he comes back.
Devontae Parker is not joking, a lock to do better than his ADP. A lock.
I don't hate it.
Yes. Do you see how much money they made?
I know.
He's on a contract, and he is a better and best guy. The dude had 4 games over 80 yards last year. No, but not that anyone cares.
Juju Smith-Schuster, who got $16 million in free agency and is going to have less top 36 finishes than Jameson Williams, was comparable to Devontae Parker's $14 million in that extension. So yes, Devontae Parker's not coming off the field.
Didn't we say this about Kendrick Bourne too, though? You know what I mean? He got paid by the Patriots.
Bourne sucks. That's the difference.
Okay. I mean, I saw Parker enough when I was a Miami fan, so it wasn't fun. But I have a lot of him as well because he's going so late and he's a guaranteed start. So
what does your college model, if he's even in there, Hayden? He's probably not even in there. What does he say about Demario Douglas? Who the hell? I didn't even write anything on Demario Douglas, and now apparently there's a chance he plays in the slot if they go to 3 wide sets, and they just keep letting Juju play on the outside.
Yeah, I need to look this up.
Okay, look up Demario Douglas.
I didn't bother watching him
because he's the one who apparently has been running with the first team in 3 wide sets from the slot. And I've never even heard the guy, which is the most Bill Belichick thing ever.
All right, Demario Douglas, here's the profile per the spreadsheets. A 17th percentile prospect.
Okay.
He is older. He has 26th percentile adjusted spark athleticism. He has 2nd percentile height, 7th percentile weight.
This does not sound good so far. Not
34th percentile short shuttle for somebody that at his size is concerning. Oh, his adjusted production, good for 17th percentile. So
oh no, that's not good.
It's over.
Well, we're gonna see him in the preseason, and we'll do our best.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as Fantasy Football Garage says, the Demario drumbeat, it's getting strong.
Yeah.
They have talked about him a lot. They've actually talked about him more than Tyquan Thorne, which is amazing.
Every single one of these Patriots, every offseason, we'll get a Kembrell Tompkins, who are all these dust balls? There's always one guy that gets his dog rating. I would put him in for 2nd percentile height. The dog ratings, I'm assuming, got to be pretty low. He went to Liberty.
I think the worst camp right now of reporters, because no one can do anything wrong because they're playing with Patrick fucking Mahomes, are the Chiefs receivers. Not a single Chiefs beat reporter has said one bad thing about any Chiefs wide receiver at all. Even Kadarius Toney, like, he'll come back, he'll make the roster, he'll come back, and he'll just scorch the earth. It's like, that's not how this works. And so I'm skeptical. Like, I understand Justin Ross's profile coming out of college, especially since he produced more than T. Higgins when he was young and his breakout age. I understand Justin Ross's profile in 2014. It's fun to target, but I do worry. I'm skeptical that just they're overly confident in every player at Chiefs camp.
Noah Gray, CH Sisson. Heard it here first.
Noah Gray. I don't know if I could do that.
What's your Noah Gray exposure, Chris?
It's not high. I think it's probably 0. Nope, 0.
Ah, bummer. Not going to win money this year.
Oh, damn.
All right.
If Noah Gray is the guy that buries me, I did something wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
We are starring guys now. I don't think we need anyone.
Daigle, is it almost time for Dwayne McBride's season after Ty Chandler was the number 2 because he was the only running back that was actually practicing, and now it might be Dwayne McBride's season?
I would love that. My bags are packed, and we are ready to set sail.
Mm-hmm.
I like McBride.
All right, so these are our wide receivers. These are the 2 running backs we're looking at. We have 4. I don't mind adding a 5th, including either of these. I don't mind a wide receiver either.
But I think we should grab Dwayne McBride since you like him so much. And then I think I'm with Puka. Why not? We got the stack it up. We got Stafford to bring back.
Thoughts on Puka, Hayden?
Why not? Let's have some fun. Stack it up.
Well, I guess what we're really asking is Puka or Tutu. And then that always brings you back to Puka.
Yeah. I saw a good tweet from somebody who said, Tutu Atwell bulked up to 135 pounds this offseason. That's gold.
I cannot take Tutu seriously as a NFL player. I just can't do it.
Silva put it best, man, when he said that he's going to blow away in the wind. I have never been able to take him serious after Silva said that.
Silva doesn't come hot anymore, too often anymore. But when he does, he's still got it. Yep. He still throws some fastballs. And saying he was worried because he'd blow off the field, it was a good fastball.
That was good.
That was a good one. I'm trying to think of anyone stand out, Hayden, about some other this range risers, 17th and 18th round. Richie James now used to be 212. He's 192 now. Justin Ross here in the 16th round now.
Yeah, I mean, I have an exception on Chiefs players. If you want to take a flyer on a Chiefs player, I don't care at all.
Sure.
Some of guys that are going to get cut and actually project for 6 fantasy points this year. At least make it a chief. Gesicki, I think's done for because of Hunter Henry. Yeah, I just like the tight ends down here still.
I like Slayton. He's always around here somewhere.
Yeah, I'll take a Giants wide receiver for sure.
Slayton's a good one. I had him starred. He'll definitely go, but we also took Hodgins. But, again, week 17, Giants Rams. I don't mind Slayton if he comes back to us.
Did Hyatt end up going yet? Because Jalen Hyatt's
he's falling.
Yeah, but you're getting
he just went right now.
You're getting such good value on him now versus all the other teams. Like, let's just say Jalen Hyatt starts breaking out. Well, at least we're getting 18th round Hyatt versus he was going 12th, 13th round for a large chunk of this thing. So
I like Travion Williams, Chase Brown, those type of guys behind Mixon in case he gets hurt.
Yeah, and I guess it was only carted off in camp, which doesn't mean much anymore, but maybe the door did just open for Chase Brown a little bit more.
They said that it was only an ankle injury, and he's going to be back in a couple weeks.
Okay, so we're not worried then.
Yeah.
All right, at least Josh isn't worried.
I've been Travion pilled too. I also thought Travion was so much fun in college.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Former Aggie great. Yeah.
Dude, his numbers were wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Allen Robinson being drafted.
I feel like we see that more often now.
Yeah, we're starting to see it.
Probably not correctly, but we see it more often. That's fine.
Daigle,
Go ahead.
Well, for both of you guys, name a player that's on the board right now, not quarterbacks, that Hunter Henry does not project better up straight up. That all these players that are on this board right here, these last 3 rounds, that Hunter Henry's projection is not straight up for more fantasy points.
The last 3 rounds, including quarterback?
No, not quarterbacks. Yeah, beyond the quarterbacks.
I'd probably say maybe Gus Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, every player. You're right. Yeah, I guess we'd have to stop at Dwayne McBride. So what we're saying is Hunter Henry should be a 15th round player. I think that's fair. Dude. Does Hunter Henry outproduce Kenneth Gainwell, Leonard Fournette, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson? Probably. Cordero Patterson? Probably.
I think so.
Yeah. So Hunter Henry should be a 15th round player. Again, he's one of my most drafted players. You don't have to tell me. You're not speaking to me. All right. Those are the receivers I have starred, but I'm open to whatever y'all would like to do. Darius Slayton off the board. I'm going to star Ty Montgomery for the hell of it.
Take off my boy $1. We don't need him. He's not. Just take him off.
His ADP this offseason was I think 112. That was insane.
Something absolutely wild. We don't need a second quarterback.
Go for him. Go for it.
Josh Reynolds. Oh no, we need another tight end probably.
I have Josh Reynolds right here. We don't have to. Michael Mayer, Kate Otten. That's
Ferguson. What
Jake
about
Ferguson?
Ferguson.
Yeah.
The Ferg daddy.
I don't mind the Ferg daddy. 9-10 by week 7. Okay. Totally fine. Let's do it. Let's close this thing down. Right. Let me pull up here real quick so we can just get a quick overview. I feel like that was a good one.
Solid.
Very good team.
As we were all trying to adjust for ADP, I have this one Dalmatian exposure too, because that's all I got in before it closed.
Did you get the Dalmatian 1 or the 2? Because if you got the Dalmatian 1, it's a single entry.
2, 3 entries.
Okay. So 3 entries.
But yes, I still only got. I don't know.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna try to pry some information out of Hayden here, dude. So what's up with the big dog, brother? Well, when are we gonna get in that?
Some
of us are maxed out. Some of us are maxed out. We need something to play for here, you know?
We have a Mastiff. If that's doing anything for you. There will be something in that price point range soonish. I haven't heard of a big dog necessarily, but I've heard of similar things coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm excited too because I like those mid to high stakes single entries. I think those are a lot of fun. It makes people react differently because you have to take it seriously. I like it a lot.
What do you, for those like that kind of range tier, what percent to first place? Do you want it top heavy, not top heavy? Do you want 2 of 12 advancement? What do you guys like if you're, let's say it's like $100 entry, $200 entry, like that kind of range. What's your like guidelines for payout structure?
I like 3 of 12, and like at least for the first round, like just give us like a 25% chance of making it. And then I prefer like if you make it to the final round, everyone gets paid a decent amount. Like, you know, I'm fine with it being a little leveled off.
So flat in the finals.
I would say like not as like insane as like 3 million to 1 million, but like more you know, 300, 200, 100, 0, like that kind of thing.
I specifically target in DFS. I specifically target, yes, flatter structures. I'm not looking for a, you know, $500, $1,000 entry tournament where most of it goes to the top. I'm totally fine, like with stable drop-offs and less payout to first. Totally fine with that.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the way I like. And also, TJ, that's a hot take. A blockbuster is more likely to be open than Rashee Rice. I love Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is a lot of fun and still could emerge as like a number 1, number 2 receiver in that offense.
Isn't there a blockbuster in Oregon that's still open? Or
yes, but I think it's literally called the last blockbuster. Like literally.
I thought there was one. Is there one in Alaska too, or no? Am I wrong about that?
One of them is also an Airbnb.
Okay.
Like you can rent for like a couple thousand per night. If you want to rent a blockbuster.
What?
Dude, it's like Oregon. You know what happens in Oregon? Like there's
Oregon.
They don't give a shit. Billy Musio just drives helicopters through the mountains there. They don't give a shit. All right. 101. Justin Jefferson. Got that JT lore at the 3rd round dip. Ramondre and him. Mike Williams setting up a double stack with Justin Herbert, or at least a stack. David Montgomery as our 3rd running back. Because of the wide receivers that are on the board, we felt more comfortable with David Montgomery there. Added Mike Evans with a dip. Cortland Sutton to bring back Justin Herbert. Sky Moore around his ADP, just taking shots since we need more wide receivers. Greg Dulcich should jump a tier now that Tim Patrick is injured. So I think this reflects his ADP. If not, getting higher, I'm okay with that. Adding Elijah Mitchell, and then Tyler Higbee. We need another tight end. We have the Rams stack. We come back, adding another Week 17 player with the Giants. And then from there, double stacking Stafford, continuing to add receiver, 5th running back, and 3rd tight end since Luke Shoemaker. We don't know when he'll play, but he's also like a day 3 questionable prospect or a day 2 questionable prospect who probably wasn't going to make an impact anyway. So I'm not too worried about him.
Yep. This is I've had a theory recently. Your early round stack should be single stacks and your late round stack should be the doubles and triples because the ADPs are being dragged up by your early round draft picks for team stacking purposes. And I don't like the projections. And if you are right about your 2nd quarterback team, he's going to elevate all of those players up there and the opportunity cost is less. And there's a little bit of a uniqueness angle. So I like the single stack up top, like we have with the Chargers, and then the double stack with our secondary stacks.
Your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm more heavy into the stacking because I'm obviously trying to get a higher advance rate, and then hopefully it all hits like in different weeks because usually that's where I've been the most successful in BBM is having the mega stacks with these guys to get to the finals. It just the only problem that sucks is when you're in the finals with those mega stacks, you're at a huge disadvantage because people have other games that can be played. So if your games do not hit, you're out, which is obviously the consensus. So.
And cleaning up before we get out of here, TJ Hernandez will be on the Best Ball Happy Hour with us next week. So look forward to that. Fantasy Football Garage has a Watson Jordan Aikens stack in the first Dalmatian. That's fun.
Unique.
Charlie, line of scrimmage, wants a tournament entry between the puppy and mastiff. So somewhere
it's called BBM.
Yeah, somewhere between $5 and $1,000. Think of that.
How about weekly winners?
Josh wants another puppy because the people just can't get enough puppies.
Good news, there's a puppy literally in the lobby right now. Go fill that one.
And the other good news is that the other blockbuster is in Alaska. So, Hayden, what do you have for everyone else right now?
How did Alaska justify a blockbuster in the first place? How many people live in Alaska?
I think if there's an alternate universe that Marvel doctor, I can't remember his name, don't ask me about superheroes, spins out that, and it's probably I'm probably 3 worlds removed from it, where I'm only studying the woods of Alaska. I'm fascinated by what leprechauns, what like ancient creatures are out there, because it's so vast that, like the ocean, you know something exists that we haven't found yet.
Alaska's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful place to be.
It's also terrifying, but yes, it is beautiful.
Diego, where was that place? I think it was like in Canada that you go visit from time to time. It's like the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen.
Banff, Alberta. I go once a year.
Okay, Banff. I got to go.
As someone who has hiked Iceland, New Zealand, and Switzerland, I go back to Banff once a year for a reason. It's expensive, but it's, I think, one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Gotta check it out.
Hayden, what do you have for everyone right now?
Josh and I are doing rankings this week on the YouTube channel, and just go get some weekly winners done. Lots of strategy out there. If you filled out BBM, it's a good time to go to weekly winners. There's not that much content for it, and I think there's a massive edge for the grinders out there. What did you max? The other BBM, 150 slow drafts.
Did he max the? Can you max the weekly winners? What's the entry?
150 for weekly winners. Go.
That'd be sick, Josh. If that's what you're talking about, you are a sick fuck. Like that's a lot.
I think it was the puppy. That's a lot of slow drafts.
It has to be. And then Chris, do you have any content coming up? I know you already have your weekly winners article up that you've been updating for everyone.
Yeah, it's been a great time. I actually love the weekly winners contest. A shot at 20K is nothing to sneeze at every week. And I'm going to probably come up with an article here soon. I'm excited for the football season to start. I'm happy to be home and to keep grinding. So
we will see everyone next week, and until then. Team previews on the site for everyone to check out as well. Vikings one open for free if you want to start there and go from there. So until then, be a little bit kinder than what's required. We'll see you next time.